Good morning, comrades. It's Workers Wednesday. Today, we're going to start things off by correcting a few things that are wrong, because there's just some problems out there, and we need to fix them. And then, I know I said I would start... I know I said I would turn this on, and I may still do that. All right, I'm going to give you a 70% chance of having people living in Charlemagne's North by the end of this video. But I wanted to also plan out today nuclear power. Yeah, I think that's gonna... I'm hoping that happens too. We're gonna start things off by taking a look at this. So one of the reasons why I bring people in like waves, like small amounts, right, is to test existing systems, make sure they're not completely broken. And it turns out I missed something here. I forgot to connect. Yeah, the sewage tank is not piped to anything. So throughout January, they have been working on that, trying to get this all the way out here, connecting to a switch, or I guess it'd be a pump, and then a switch. And then that switch takes it all the way out to here, which has this obnoxious tower crane for this tiny thing that's getting built over here on this side. So nearly completed, just needs a few more prefab panels, which are being delivered. A lot of helicopter work right here. Look at all these prefabs coming in. 3 helicopters, delivering them at a time. All right, you can see they are definitely prioritizing this pipe for good reason. It's even medium, but I can switch it to high just to really reinforce my will. The other thing we need to do, I'm going to pause it really quick so it doesn't get a whole lot worse. Over here, okay, first off, we're going to have some deaths because those health issues that are stemming from sewage is going to get exacerbated by not having a lot of heat. Heat is really stressed, and I've said it before, I wanted 2 heaters right here, not just the one. I need to figure out a way still, and I probably should dedicate a good portion of time trying to figure out how the heck I'm going to get this coal out of here the cheapest way possible. And I haven't quite figured it out, but I would really like to dip into the same supply here. And one of the ways I'm thinking of doing it is like right here. It's just set this up right next to it. It's going to be difficult because I have to connect the road to this. But if I can do this, then this could go over top of the tracks, and we could have that deposited into another heater right over here is what I'm hoping to do. So I need to get another road over here and then, just cross my fingers and hope the game will let me do it. Pretty much. It's not guaranteed. So I'm looking at that, trying to figure out how to get another heater in here. But heating is really stressed. And as a result, we do have some deaths. And we've had an increase in crime lately, too. There's a lot of people who have complained about crime lately. 2.1% down decrease here. For over 10,000 people have complained about crime. And if I take a look at my courts, they're actually quite busy. I mean, they're not overwhelmed, but they're quite busy. I mean, the limitations on these things are still really low. And so we're not going to have a problem, getting people into prisons. That said, prisons starting to get, a little crowded in here too. We're not, again, we're not at the level where we need to be super concerned, but there is at least a little bit here of, the loyalty's not going back up, that kind of thing. We're starting to get them full. So getting another prison is an idea that should probably take place here. We're going to do a couple of things today because with these deaths are going to come, more children into the orphanages and stuff. And so we're going to start seeing problems there as well with children without appropriate upbringings gaining criminality, right? We don't want that. So first thing I'm going to do, I've got this orphanage here done. It's just been waiting for us to have a proper number of people over here so that we could handle it. Since we don't have this pipe done yet for sewage, since that's not done yet, bringing kids in here seems like a bad idea. But then again, if the kids die, I don't have to deal with them. Such a Soviet thing. Now they're going to be bred into being very, very strong kids because we're going to activate this building now. And the hope is, of course, that this is going to get completed pretty quickly here. We have high priority on this. There's constantly people working on this right now. and they just need to bring a few more panels over here and such. And that stuff's all getting worked out. And we do have a sewage truck that does periodically come out here and, you know, fill up with sewage. It's not enough, right? The thing is almost always, it's just going to stay full as everyone continues to, well, crap into it, I guess. But here we go. We have tutors here now. And I'm going to count on this being done in a reasonable amount of time. So to help with that, I'm actually going to go over and I'm going to have only educated people stop in right here. And that hope is so that we can get a lot of educated people into working at this orphanage. So I'm going to go ahead and allow citizens to live there. That's going to activate that building now. And as soon as that pipe finishes, we'll have proper disposal of sewage. But we need more orphanages than that. So I'm going to break my rule that I had before. Helicopters all over me, man. I'm going to break this little rule I have where I was like, don't put anything on this side of the road. We're going to put orphanages kind of on the border here, okay? So what we're going to do is this road is going to be pulled back to about here, okay? And we can still see the line. It's just written in the snow now. And, you know, we're not going to, like, place them out here or anything. We're going to put them right up against the tracks. So the first thing I want to do is we're going to grab the road. I'm just trying to figure out where I want this to be out from. Let's go from here. We're going to bring this road out this way. And then what I want to do is put a walking path right next to the tracks like this and like this. All right. Here we go. All right. Now, I guess it'd be cool if we could have had... Well, I almost can have. Yeah, I guess I can have like that. You probably not. No. But this one can from there. So that's interesting. We can get that road to bring out. I mean, man, if I could do that, then why can't I do... If you're going to let me do that, then you got to let me do this too, right? Yeah. Oh, heck yeah. That's what I want to see. Come on. Come on. Let me connect to it. Don't be that way. I don't like the road system in this game. Don't be that way. All right, tell you what. Let's go back from here. You silly bitch. It's so silly. All right, can I go like this? All right, can I do this? No, really? Oh, wait. Yep, there. That is not connected. I think it is connected. Yes, I think that's actually connected. Okay, you know what? We got two people who can walk here. I just want some houses that are definitively connected to this side in case I need to go out this way. So what I want to do is we're going to pull this back. We got the intersection here now. And we're going to come over to our orphanages. And I want to place 3 of them in here just to expand on orphanage capacity. We have a really good, I don't want to say really good, but we have a decent setup here as far as, oh, the water though. Oh, the water. The water though. I have to make more pipes. I can pipe it. I think I can pump this around. Let's just do that. We'll pump this around. I don't know if that's gonna do enough, but we'll try it. We'll put a substation over on this side. Let's say, yeah, I'll put the substation maybe over. Gosh, man, why would I put it? All right, tell you what, we're gonna connect this. All right, I don't want to worry about it right now, but we will connect it to water once it's getting built. All right, so we're gonna say that the orphanages, so long as they have connections to heat, and that gives this thing multiple connections to heat. Good. We're gonna go about like that with it. All right, and then we're gonna come off this way and go about like that with it. And then you are gonna be right here on that side like that with it. So 3 additional orphanages will be here. And then off of this road, which may end up getting connected to the main highway road later anyway. But off of this road for now, you know what? No, we'll do it. Let's do it right. Let's bring it off of this road about like this. And then this road will go straight that way. Let's bring it like this. Yep. For the children, right? We need it for the children. Go about this way with it like so. All right, so straight across there and connecting up to that other road. All right, and then bop that. Then we go gravel roads are fine from here, but we'll do that after this road is built, so I don't have to divide the project. And then this road will go back to being the way it was, like this, as a bypass for other equipment and stuff. Okay. I'm pleased enough with that. All right. And we're going to have additional orphanages in here just to help that out. So right now we have 6 people in their care. We're going to up the requirements here to 68. And then we're going to come over to, we're going to do a couple of things actually. We're going to come over here. We're going to need to figure out how to train them. And we won't know that really until we get them brought in here. So we have a lot of kids in here without an appropriate upbringing. So we're going to relocate them into this building until they're no longer burdening that. Okay. All right. Then we're going to take out of there. We're going to come over here. This building is kind of overloaded as well. So we're going to transfer a few of those kids into this one. No big deal. Just a few of them. And then we're going to grab the other one. This one here also is pretty maxed out. We're going to just, again, just divide them up. And I'll just sort of separate these guys until we have a good amount of kids over here. Here we go. Orphanage 3. Here we go. How many kids? Right, 88. I'm kind of okay with that. 88's all right. Maybe we bring in just a couple more from somewhere else, like this one. This one's really overloaded. Let's bring in a couple more here. All right. That should be decent. We don't want to overload this one now, of course, too. So 103 is fine for now. And then we need to know how do we balance them to teach them things? We have over here, this one has 14, 40, 28, 9. So it seems like we're obviously very propaganda heavy. Cultural enjoyment appears to be reduced. Preference for alcohol needs to be reduced. Preference for sports goes up, and then anti-religious propaganda also needs to be installed as well. And so we end up with a reduction in alcohol consumption, a reduction in religious sympathy, an increased interest in sports, and their cultural enjoyment, I think, will go up once we get better quality teachers in here and stuff. Yeah, we have more teachers we can get, plus a lot of these guys are not that highly educated, so we just get them really loyal and stuff too. But we can tweak these values. I just wanted to have a good starting point here. And right now you can see, like, this is already getting to the point where, you know, we're maxing out here. And so we need more, right? We need more orphanages, which is what we are doing by adding these 3 here. Okay. So a lot of these guys are going to work in orphanages to help the children. And then a lot of these guys are going to end up going and hitting on the train, the trolley, or the tram. It's one of those T words. The tram will then take them around, and I think we're going to have this road come all the way out here and bring them in this way on train tracks. So the train tracks obviously are here. They come out this way, and we're going to have these train tracks curve this direction. They'll come all the way across this way, and then they end up curving back up as well as going out. So there's a T intersection here, T junction, whatever. It'll curve around and connect over with these tracks right over here. Okay, so these tracks from there and there, they get connected by this, like that. Okay, there's also another intersection. This train track is also going to dip under as a tunnel and come out this side so that trains can be on this side of the river as well. Because currently we have a nice bridge with trucks over here. They seem to have finished the asphalt on the road. Very nice. Cool. I can have you work on the other side asphalt now too. You can go ahead and do that side now if you want to as well. They've done that. And then this train will end up coming through here. And then that's great because now we can start building train tracks out to the border on this side. And it's at that point where we can reliably bring in, you know, vehicles from the west. We can reliably trade with the west, you know, with trains and everything as well too. It'll be nice. But that's a little bit later. Right now, what's important is getting all this stuff done, finalizing the constructions that are currently pending. And once that's done, then we're going to talk about nuclear. While it's going on, though, I brought in some vehicles, and I'm not really The bulldozers were bought the early January, and the excavators were purchased like the day before I started the recording. So the excavators are probably on their way. I don't see them. Maybe they stopped for gas. I don't know, but they're probably on their way in. And once I get the bulldozers and the excavators in here, I'm going to start flattening this area. And we're going to make it level with, I believe, the highway is what I chose to do here. We're going to make it level with the highway. We can make it level with the train tracks as well. It just kind of makes everything elevated. One of these things has to be elevated, so I don't think it really matters too much. They're not that different in elevation, right? They're not, I don't think they're all that different. This is 15.2, and over here is 21, so yeah, it is pretty different. But maybe I come back over here, 17. That's better, because this is dirt, so we can adjust that anyway. So yeah, 16, that's not too bad. That's almost the same. You know, a 1 meter difference, which, I don't know, if you're a regular person, I suppose that is kind of a good slope downwards like that. But I had no idea this area right here was so close to sea level. Like, it is really low. This is 2 meters above sea level, you know? So that's wild. But yeah, I've decided that the nuclear power is going to go right here, but we're not going to do anything with that aside from flattening the ground. I'm not going to do anything with that until all of this pending construction is completed. So I need to let this run for a little while. I need to let January and winter be over with. Suck it up, Buttercup, on the deaths. We're at 65% happiness here. Only 57% of our people have a television. I have not been buying electronics, and if I do, you'll see my money just get obliterated. So, yeah, but I kind of need it for happiness. I'm not sure it'll make that big of a difference, though. Like, unable to get electronics is a big deal. It's 12.5% for 2,000 people, right? But I don't think it's, like, cumulatively, these other issues are, I think, more impactful. Things that I should probably look to try to remedy a bit more. Like, unable to drink alcohol kind of sucks. You know, that's a pretty big dip. We could maybe start figuring out where people are, you know, missing their booze and see if we can't deliver a little bit. But you don't want workers to be drunk all the time or be addicted to alcohol even, because it really lowers productivity and health. It takes a toll on your health system too. We also have this boat, and it's 96%. Look at this thing. Look at this. This thing is just super cool looking when it's all rusted out like this, isn't it? So this boat was selling mechanical components. Obviously, we're no longer doing that. So that's also hitting our revenue on the dollar side of things. We're probably going to end up losing all of our dollars here in a bit. But this is prepared to fix it. We just need to bring things here in order to do so. And so that's going to be hauled in by truck. It's okay. It's not great, but I have enough capacity on this highway. Well, especially when it's not snowing, but I have plenty of capacity on this highway to be able to handle trucks coming in here and dropping stuff off over here. So if I was to, you know, go to one of my distribution offices here, technical service, where are my, there's so much going on here. I lose track of my own stuff sometimes here, right over here. So if I was to add, like, say, this medium distribution office, right? If I went in and added 3 flatbeds to this, and I told it, hey, I want you to also add that storage and keep that full, they would come over here. They would go to this source right here. They'd pick up the steel from here. So they'd drive in here, pick up the steel, and then off they would go, and they would drop it off over there. And then we would have, you know, the materials that we need to fix vehicles at that point. So I would come over here and I would say, I mean, I guess right now, just to add 1 source instead of 2, just to get things running with this, I could do 1 source here instead. But it does need a flatbed truck. So I would probably want to just go over, and we're going to grab a couple of open hulls so that we can handle this. And I may actually have a spare. Let me go over to my depot over on this side. Do I have a spare? These are dumpers though, right? Yeah, these are dumpers. Okay, never mind. on that. Over on this side, where's my depot? My road depot is right here. Do I have... This is another dumper. I don't have any spare flatbeds, unfortunately. Okay. Well, then I will have to purchase. That's just how that's going to go. So we're going to take the big ones, I guess. Might as well. Let's go crazy with this. Yeah. I mean, that's a significant difference in hauling capability. Not a lot of difference in speed there. It's just a huge difference in cost as well. But given the distance that this has to go to make its deliveries, I would want it to have a lot. So I'm going to buy 3 of these ones. And they're going to head on in here. And when they do, then they'll head back to work. And as far as this office goes, it should be able to handle now the delivery of everything. And we'll just tell it to keep it 50% full. The plastic, it will still get from the same source because the plastic is hooked up here. And this is actually full of plastic, which is interesting because I'm pretty sure the train is supposed to be doing that. Are you guys stuck again? Sons of bitches. I don't know how this keeps happening. It's really crazy. It's nuts because this is properly set up. They're supposed to do that. Yeah. There's just something about this signal that I haven't quite figured out yet on how they decide to go in here despite there being a train waiting here. Even though there's a train here, they decide to go straight anyway instead of waiting their turn. And I just have not been able to pinpoint that. I'm sure somebody out there will tell me exactly why that's happening. But it's just, it breaks all the laws of how this is supposed to work. And it breaks the laws of how it works everywhere else. But I believe it has something to do with how it communicates to stations. And the fact that these rails are stations. Or is a station as opposed to being separate rails. But yeah, it's very strange. Anyway, every once in a while I see that. It doesn't happen very often. It's actually pretty rare. But it's enough to where it's happened like maybe 10, 15 times in the series so far. You know, so it's I can recall anyway 10 or 15 times that it's happened over the last 80 in-game years. So it's not that common, but it's also, you know, it's often enough to where it can kind of be annoying. Okay, I think that's probably good. I'm going to have to let them get more fuel again, but I've been flattening the area, and I've made it flat with on the same elevation as these train tracks. So effectively everything is now flat with the train tracks all the way out like that. The highway would be slightly elevated, but it's okay. It can slope down. Okay, so for nuclear, right? And we're not going to build this yet. We're gonna plan it out. I want to show you it, but we're going to talk about it. But we're going to let all that stuff over there finish building before we really get into it. Nuclear power is going to be set up with the big one. All right. We're going to go with a twin reactor nuclear power plant. And if you haven't seen the game before, this is like a really complicated chain. So I want to explain to you how it all works so that you're familiar with it and you know what's going to happen as we go. Okay. So this is the twin nuclear power plant. You can see that there are some factory connections on one side in one corner. We also have some pipe outs. We have some water pipe ins on both sides. And then you can also see there are these 2 additional black arrows that we haven't seen yet. And these are for cooling towers, okay? Because the nuclear reactor can overheat and we don't want it to overload, right? So we don't want a Chernobyl on our hands here. So we are going to be working with that. So like where do we place it on this side? Probably not, right? We want to place the factory connections so that they are facing out this way. And I actually think I want to flip it so that the connections are on the other side. Yeah. So probably going to place this right about here. And what I'm thinking here is it would be near the, over near the river. So it probably needs to be flattened from here. I'm just going to go just a little bit further in, about here, I think. Yeah. Right about there is where this nuclear power plant is going to be placed. Okay. There's a lot of steps to this, though. Okay. So this power plant, of course, needs uranium. Let's talk about it. Let's go through it because it's, for those who are new, it's pretty expensive. So This thing consumes 0.08 tons of nuclear fuel per day at maximum production, okay? And this facility is not going to be at maximum production for quite some time. But in addition to that, it also has 40 high-educated workers needed and 80 regular workers needed. And it is going to generate for us 9,360 megawatt hours of power, which translates to essentially 156 megawatts consistent like draw off of it, right? That's how much power the thing can provide at any given time, is 156 megawatts. All right. It's a lot going on there. So in order to get this working, though, we have to provide it with that resource. We have to provide it with nuclear fuel. How do we do that? Well, we do that with our more advanced industries. So we start with the uranium mine. We have that over at Checkpoint Char. All right. That's the uranium mines we've got going on over there. So that's fine. Then the uranium gets processed into uranium oxide. Again, it's over there at Checkpoint Char. That's what we're doing over there. But from that point, though, we need to take that stuff that's there, that's currently in that flat storage, and we're going to load it on a train, and we're going to take it from Checkpoint Char over to here, because this is where we need to process that stuff. Now, it doesn't need to be really close to the nuclear plant. We could put it over here. We could have this whole setup be over here like I originally planned, but I'd like to see if there's enough space for me to have it all just kind of connected together. Okay, so the next step of this is the uranium conversion plant. This is going to take a maximum of 2 tons of uranium oxide per day, maximum, plus some chemicals, and it's going to give us just under 1 ton of UF6, of course, with all the workers and everything that's associated with that. Obviously, all of these buildings also export hazardous waste, okay? So there's hazardous waste involved in the entire process. As soon as it's out of the ground and you're working with it, there's hazardous waste every single step of the way, okay? Until you finally get to the power plant, in which case then it's not just hazardous waste, but you have nuclear waste, actual nuclear waste. And that is very hazardous to have near people, and you don't want that to be anywhere near your people, which is why we have this facility so far away from where people live. It is way over here. We're not putting it anywhere nearby. In fact, the distance we're covering here, if you're interested in how far away from people I am here, this is our plant, and this is the nearest person, which would be this child right here. And that is 1,200 meters away from the nearest kid, all right, from the nearest person. I believe that is the furthest. I believe that is the closest. Maybe we can go over to here. There's a house right over here too. So maybe we go there. That's 1253. Okay, so that is, yes, that's how that works. And of course the wind is blowing that direction. So we don't want anyone living anywhere nearby this. We don't want anyone living in here. We don't want anyone living in this whole area. This whole area is like, you know, keeping it away from people, okay? But I'm bringing it closer than I originally planned so that I can actually bring people to work here, because despite not wanting it near where people live and where other facilities are, you do need people to come here to work. So there's that. Okay, so on that advanced industry, the uranium conversion plant is going to consume at most 2 tons of uranium oxide. The uranium processing plant will be generating 1.7 tons of uranium oxide per day at its peak, okay? We're not going to hit peak numbers everywhere here, but if we want to actually have both of those processing plants over there working, then we are going to be generating more than 1.7 tons of uranium oxide. We're going to be generating more than 2 tons, right? So we're going to want 2 of these uranium conversion plants to be over here as well. And we're going to get them all connected to the factory connections over here like this. So we want 2 of these to be here. From there, we want this nuclear fabrication. Now, if we do have 2 of these, and maybe we don't need 2 of these, because this is going to generate, you can see that the numbers here, this actually makes 0.96 tons of UF6. The nuclear fabrication is going to take only 0.4 tons of UF6, and it's going to make 0.095 tons of nuclear fuel. All right. I don't know why they decided to do these little decimal point numbers, but that's where they're going with this. And so essentially one of these facilities will generate enough UF6 for 2 of these facilities. And this facility generates more nuclear fuel per day at maximum capacity, more than the power plant will consume. It's 0.095, and this only takes 0.08. So why am I walking you through all this stuff? If you're a veteran of the game, you don't care. I get it. It's probably over. It's fine. Get on with it, right? But if you're new to the game, this stuff can be pretty confusing. We're going to take 2 of these so that we can work with more than the uranium processing plant can handle. We're going to take 2 uranium conversion plants. That means we're going to be generating just under, at maximum capacity, just under 2 tons of UF6 per day. We're only going to be consuming from 2 of these facilities 0.8, which means we're going to have an over, again, all these numbers are at peak capacity. We're going to have over 1 ton of extra UF6 generated every day. That's going to be an export for us. But it also is going to provide us a buffer in case we get into a situation where we lose power for some reason, or we have a mass wave of sickness or whatever, and I can't have everybody, working at every building. I can then prioritize this building so that we always have the nuclear fuel. We're also going to be generating, because we're going to be using 2 of these buildings, we're also going to be generating excess nuclear fuel. And that also can eventually be an export. So if I take a look at the pricing really quick over here, if we just take a look at the market pricing, I don't think we'll actually be able to see all of it from this screen because it doesn't show container stuff in this screen. So we're not going to see... Yes, this screen does not show us that. So in order to see that, we actually have to go all the way over to the economy and trade screen. And we need to go over to current prices and global market. Okay. Why do I want to export this stuff? This industry is very, very profitable if you can work it. The UF6 will export for 300,000 rubles per ton. Okay? Nuclear fuel, if we can somehow build up a ton of it, just 1 ton of it, a bonus, right? Over time, we'll get paid 6.2 million rubles for it, which is fantastic, right? So this is very good if we can overproduce these 2 resources in addition to selling the excess power that this thing is going to be kicking out for us. It's going to power our entire republic and then also be able to maximum export 3 lines that way and 3 lines that way. Okay? We're talking 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, all that being sold constantly all the time, and then the entire republic also powered. All right? So this facility is big. All right, so I need to work on the spacing on where these buildings will go. But before I do that, I wanted to get to a really important part of nuclear power, and that is cooling. So there are cooling towers. There are 2 different cooling tower designs. This one goes with the other reactor that we have here. So there's a Ukraine DLC one here too. This will generate 5850 megawatts of power. And it will consume 0.04 tons of nuclear fuel. So it's a different nuclear reactor here, right? There you go. But, and then there's also, this is the base cooling tower that we'd be using. And then there's the other one here, There you go, from Ukraine. So what we want is to have these cooling towers, and they're very directional. So essentially what you're doing here is you're creating a loop. So this is a closed loop. And what we want is for the stuff to come out of one side and then back in the other. So the liquid's going to run through, right? After it's all the stuff through the turbine and everything, right? It's going to run through here. It's going to get cooled down and then jump back right back in, right? So we're going to place this, I guess, probably right... I need it to be the right direction. Let's flip it here really quick. There we go. Yep. Okay, so we want this cooling tower. I'm going to bring this back a little bit. Let's say maybe back to about here. No, kind of bringing it closer seems to... I think bringing it closer would look better. I'm going to try to bring it like right about here, I think. And right about there, we'll see. Now, I want to have roughly the same distance on the other side. You don't have to do it this way. You can kind of put these things wherever you want. But I kind of want to have them about the same distance on the other side. So maybe about here on the other side is what I'm thinking. Let's just get a good look at that and see if that's about equal. It's close. It's okay. right? I mean, maybe a slightly in more on that side, but it's not a big deal, right? And I can tweak it and stuff offline, but that gets us our cooling towers. The last thing then is to go through and put the cooling pipe connections in. And so again, like this is a loop. So this is going to come out and go in there. And then this is, oh, wait, did I do it the wrong way? Oh, I did. Okay, well, I have a chance to correct it anyway then, don't I? Here we go. Get rid of that. Yep. So we want it to be the right direction. So I need it to be like that. There it is. I need it to be about here. All right, so we need the cooling pipe to go in like so. And it comes out this side and brings right back in. And then this cooling pipe goes out like so. And then this comes out and goes right back in. So we end up with something that looks a little bit like that. Okay? And there's our nuclear power plant. So everything we do from this point on, that we place from this point on, is in support of the resources needed to get this thing operational and to keep it operational. And I haven't decided, I think I'm going to do it this way, but I haven't fully decided whether or not I'm going to have all of that stuff created here and all the additional processing to be right here, or if we'll have that stuff still be over on this side, but then I'll still need to bring workers that way. And I am leaning towards having all that stuff kind of messed up or all that stuff kind of done right here. So if we're going to do it that way, maybe it makes sense to make this a cross. And then we can have the train track come through here. And in so doing, we would then be able to deviate out, drop off workers. They could walk in. But I wanted to have the tram be able to do this as well. The tram stop needs to be in here too. So I need to figure out a way to get the rail incorporated as well as all those other buildings to process it and get them into position. So let me tweak around, I'll play around with things. I'll get through all my indecisiveness and I'll bring you back in and show you what I got, okay? All right, I've been tinkering around with things. I think I've got something that I can be probably happy with, and I wanted to walk you through it. So we obviously have the twin reactor nuclear place right here, right? We got the cooling towers here and here. Those are pretty obvious. You saw those before, but now we've got a bunch of other stuff going on, and I want to walk you through it. So let's start with, we're just gonna work our way backwards, right? So this thing is gonna consume nuclear fuel. We know that. In order to create that nuclear fuel, we need UF6. And we process the UF6 into nuclear fuel from these two buildings here. These are the nuclear fabrication plants. Now, I guess I'll go through them by mousing over them in here as well. So this is the nuclear fabrication building. There are two of them. And obviously, we need to deliver chemicals and all those types of things in here as well. We are going to have an extensive network of places for us to do that with. And I might even change one of these buildings. We'll see. But yeah, we're going to get chemicals delivered to all these places as well. So the UF6 is going to end up getting dropped off here. And it does this in two potential ways, okay? The first is that a train comes in and literally drops it off, okay? And in that case, we're actually going to have the train drop it off at this one. This is another space for vehicles and containers. Both of these are identical storages. We also have a road cargo station right between them. Now, why would I do that? Well, in addition to allowing vehicles to access the containers that are in here in one better and, quick loading place, it also is going to allow me to station a vehicle in one of the parking places for this building permanently. That means that the vehicle that I place here, the flatbed that I place here, will have a route that tells it to go from this to load in from this one and then unload into this one. That's going to allow me to have a vehicle that just moves things over here from here to here automatically by itself. It means that if this would, for some reason, fill up with nuclear fuel, I still can drop off UF6 here. And I also needed the extra factory connections because I ran out. This is located in a position that allows it to have a factory connection directly here and here, so no vehicles, no trucks. It also is allowing to me to connect it directly to the nuclear reactor, to the power plant. So that means that these which are also directly connected to the power plant, they can put the nuclear fuel that they're making, they can deposit it directly into the power plant. So they'll basically be feeding the power plant directly, both of them. When the power plant's internal storage fills up, though, we don't want these to stop. So at that point, they would then be dropping it off in here. That means this is going to fill up. But I've got UF6 being pushed into here so that they can pull it out of there and process it in nuclear fuel, which means over time, this storage will eventually fill up with nuclear fuel and have less and less room for UF6. At that point, that we're stinking wealthy when that happens. Okay, we're stupid wealthy when that happens. But if that does happen, we get a train come in and they take it off and cart it out to the border and we sell it, right? But while that's going on, right, we still want to be able to make as much as possible. So we're going to be overstocked on UF6. We may want to ship that out too. And so to help with that, I've got 2 storages that allow me to predominantly store UF6 only here, and then a mixture of the two as nuclear fuel slowly builds up over time. Something happens, maybe a fire breaks out, or machines, right, for maintenance wise, start shutting down. It's important to me that I have 2 of these facilities, right? Not just because I think I can produce that much or I should produce that much, but because maintenance cycles will stop one of these facilities every so often, right? Just like everything else we've done before, where machines get replaced, it shuts it down completely. And I do not want to get into a situation where I run out of fuel in my nuclear reactor, right? I can't afford to do that, because when I shift to having a much bigger republic all powered by nuclear, this building becomes the most important building everywhere, right? Especially when we start having electric trains. Which reminds me, I'm gonna go ahead and do this really quick. I was gonna forget, but I'm not gonna forget now. Bring this back to, let's say, about here. It's probably fine. We can go a little further. Let's go about here. I'll talk about the trains in a second, but we're gonna have the railway connection for power. I'm gonna push this to be right about here. Should be fine. That should be fine, yeah. And then you'll go there. I don't really want it to have this little crookedness to it. So what I think I'll do instead, we'll go something like this instead. We'll come from the track that's already built, and we'll just go straight into it. There we go. And then this will end up going out and into a tunnel, which takes it under the towers and stuff and takes it under the river, and we can go that way, okay? And then, of course, the nuke power plant will just push power directly to the rail here, too. Okay. So that's the game plan for this. I want to have 2 of these facilities. So how do I make 4 of these buildings all connected to one storage? I can't do that, right? So that's why I've got the road connection that can kind of act as a bridge between the two. It's not truckless, but it's truckless in the sense that the truck doesn't have to move, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, next thing then. We have now the uranium conversion plants right here, okay? Let's go back over here. Uranium conversion plant. So this is going to take our uranium oxide that we're making over at Checkpoint Char, and it's going to convert it to UF6 right here. When they are done converting it, it gets pushed to this storage, which of course gets immediately pulled from here into this storage, which of course then gets pulled here and here. It's kind of like a factory, right? I mean, that's factory connections. I'm using it like a conveyor belt system almost, which is kind of nice. The processed uranium over there that comes in here as uranium oxide. It's going to get dropped off here at this open storage, which has a rail connection that we can attach and get onto the regular rail system that goes out this way, as well as one that goes that way, okay? And so that takes care of this. We ship it into here. It gets processed, does its thing. The last thing I need to do here, though, I need to talk about how to get workers into here, right? So, and this is the part that I'm actually still undecided on, but I think this road with its tram, right, is going to head all the way around, and it's going to end up parking it, I think, right about, over here, or maybe I park like right here or so. And then we're going to have walking paths and tunnels and stuff that are going to just take people around and do where they need to go. But I would like to maybe make this a little cleaner. And I was thinking about, instead of having the tram road come all the way over here, we could have the tram road actually merge onto this rail, and then the people go through here. And then that way, all I'd have to do is have like a drop-off point here, for example. And it might be a little cleaner, as well as just getting everybody into the middle of everything so that they can disperse as they need. So if I was to do that, a small train platform like right here wouldn't be a super terrible idea. So if I went something like, say, this, the only problem with this is I would need to get it in such a way that the road can still come out. But these are trams that are going to be coming in here, so they don't need like a really long rail. They're not going to get in each other's way. So I'm going to say probably somewhere along the lines of maybe here, like this. I don't think the road can get out. That's my problem right now. Let's try this. See what that does. If I take this rail and go, well, that doesn't look right, does it? There it goes. That's better. Go like that, and then you will go this way too. There we go. Now, an issue that was going to arise, and it's not going to arise anymore, is that initially I was taking this rail and I was coming around like that, and then I would have to connect all these things, and that led to me having an intersection here and here, which was, okay from this distance from here to here, but it breaks it if I have to have the intersection here and then another one here. There's not enough room. So what I've done is I'm kind of making this, it's messy. I don't like it, but I need all these different directions to happen this way. I mean, maybe I don't need this one. This whole thing here, I was doing it for option's sake, but I may not need it, which is why I haven't built it yet. So we'll see. But this one right for now comes out, and then it just wraps from here, and we kind of get into this whole system, and then comes out this way. So this rail would, I guess, presumably go this direction. This is coming from this way only. This is a one-way setup here. And I want to kind of, let's make this height from center. I need to raise the train a bit more here to let this rail come out, which is taking a while. It's taking a very long time. Yeah, right about here. And I can keep working on it too off line here, away from the video, but we basically just have that coming around like so. This is the train that's gonna, I think, probably be frequenting this area a bit more often than usual, but it goes about like that. And again, it goes that way, and then we want it to probably go back that direction, I would think, because that's still closer to go back and get the rest of the uranium oxide. So it's a single train that's doing this, a dedicated train that does this. It's very important that the nuclear setup have a dedicated train, much like food, which has to, no matter what, regardless of traffic, we must make sure that that food train is operating as efficiently as possible, that kind of thing. Well, kind of the same thing with nuclear. I don't think it's quite the same, because the capacity of a train to bring resources in, it's like, 5-6 weeks worth of resources when you consider how little nuclear fuel it's actually burning, right? So it's using up. And the last thing here, and this is another thing that I may have to consider here, which I just now remembered when I was talking about how it burns it up, and that is waste. Waste is going to be in here too. I don't want waste to be in here, so we're going to need a dedicated waste truck as well, nuclear waste truck, and maybe even 2 of them, to just park themselves, wait until loaded, and then they'll probably take the nuclear waste down the highway or something over to be stored for a while. Maybe I'll put a storage area over here for a little bit, just to kind of give us a place to put it. It needs to be really far away from everybody, so it's going to probably be over here somewhere. But yeah, that's it for nuclear. It looks a little chaotic, but I think it works pretty elegantly in that it allows me to move the uranium oxide from here to, like, the initial intake is right here. And then, from there, it moves truckless all the way into the power plant. Truckless with an asterisk, because I'm cheating with the truck there. But I think that's a good way to play it, especially since forklifts cannot be used for this endeavor here. Forklifts could be used to bring the oxide into these 2 buildings, but once these 2 buildings are done processing that uranium oxide, forklifts are useless because everything is in containers, and forklifts cannot work with containers. So I think that's kind of how we're playing that. We got this big road that wraps around, and we'll probably want to go out this way with it at some point. We're not going to need to worry about buses because this is a train station hooked up to the train track. We can actually have people from Charlevoix North even could be brought in here, but it's not intended for that. It's intended for the trams. If I wanted to do it with the full-on trains, I guess there's nothing really stopping me from doing that other than, again, the road connection needing to be a thing. But if I did, I'd probably want a bigger platform just to make sure I had enough room for all those trains. So I probably want to do something like this, but it's still... you know, I think maybe the rail could be just a little bit more organized. We could maybe bring this back to like here. Maybe we do this differently. Maybe we have the... Okay, you have to be here because otherwise you can't get out. So I'm going to leave that there. This can go away. If I was to bring this larger train platform in, let's say drop that off like right here. If I was to do this, I still don't think I can get that road out of here. Well, I can get it out. Yeah, I can cheat. I can cheat the road out. We could cheat the road out by going, if it doesn't cooperate, which it'll cooperate anyway right here. Never mind. It's fine. But otherwise, if you can't round a corner very well, because the road tools in this game, right, they don't let you, you can only turn so sharp, right? So if you're too close, like here, I'll show you. So you can, in your own game, right, if you're doing this in your own game. Let's say I got the train platform, but I put it here instead, right? I wouldn't be able to curve this around. There's just not enough room. But what I can do is put a road, and this might actually be too close to do this, but I could put a road here out and then just connect it to that. So that's why I say cheat it, because it's you make a dead end. It's not really cheating, but you'd make a dead end instead of it being a nice curve. But and maybe I need to do that, but I'll think about how I'm going to get passengers into this arrangement offline. I think that's probably something I should do, and I might tweak the positions of buildings and stuff. You know, make the road look a little bit cleaner. Maybe even bring this road out just a little bit wider. You know, because I think it would look better actually if I brought it out a little wider than this. So I could go and do something like maybe I need to remove this. Maybe not. Let's if I go out, you know, like this, let's say, gentle curve in, and then from there we come out like this, you know, and then we curve in over like this, make this a nice curve. Yeah, it looks a little bit cleaner than it did before, you know, just like little things to clean it up and, you know, mess with the different rails. But these rails, they all pass through, right? So like, this is going to eventually come through. This will come through. This one right here will not come through because the dedicated train bringing this in goes back the same way. And it's only one train doing it. I don't need to worry about collisions or anything like that. I just need to worry about, in fact, because I don't need to worry about collisions, and it is just a single train. Although, hang on. Now, there is also, and I wanted to show this too, there's also uranium here, right? So for additional processing, we have other uranium here. I may choose to have this uranium carted back over here, okay? Depends on how busy these things are. But if we have, you know, the processing is really busy, which right now it isn't. I've raised workers to 25 on this building, and then this one's completely empty. But in that event, you know, we could bring it back here. The only problem with that is I have nowhere to park the train. So the uranium ore will be in here, right? It's an aggregate, and the train is not meant for aggregate here. So I guess that can't happen. So we would need additional processing here anyway, which is fine. Those two buildings and stuff are all balanced for this anyway. So we would come over and we would probably want to have, you know, we already have workers being brought into here. Maybe there's some way to, you know, maybe this this rail here would do something different, and I can bring workers into here somehow, or whatever. Maybe some of these guys can take a bus, and the bus can bring them to the uranium over here to process it there. I don't know. It's just like this up in the air thing where I really don't know what I want to do with this. But whatever I do with this, I have to bring workers here anyway, and so might as well process it here. And if that's the case, then thinking ahead, I would want to have this be accessible by whatever I do over here. And so probably it would come this direction. The rail is going to eventually be running through here. So we would probably have the rail, the train, or whatever, probably wrap around, connect, and then go in. So there may be 2 trains in the future doing this. And so because there may be 2 trains in the future, possibly we should make sure that these things could pass by each other. So why don't we go ahead and measure this out? And that's about where it needs to be. Yeah, I'm going to leave it exactly right there. And then from here, this will be where the signal is. And then you will go 159. It's good enough. Okay, so that'll be how we handle that. We're still abiding by our 150 rule everywhere. And that's how we'll build out nuclear. Okay, but again, none of that happens until all of this is done. I know. For me, I've been sitting here an hour, but I don't know. I guess maybe you guys are at an hour too. At this point, I was on an hour doing just all this stuff, and then I had some lunch. And I'm a human being. Okay. Sometimes I talk about things about being human. Did we? Yeah, we got some steel in here. We got delivered. All right. And look at this ship. Its repair percent is 22% now. Hey, we're actually getting this thing repaired. It's down to 78% now. Okay. Yeah. It still looks grungy. I like it. But once it's done being repaired, then we send it back we put it back to work, right? And because that boat has not been running, I imagine that maybe not. It'd be in here, wouldn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I imagine we probably have a lot of mechanical components sitting here waiting for the boat, too. And then I'm hoping that we have more. This is running without issue still making cars. Pretty good. Still running. Missing plastics. All of that is getting taken care of by activating Charlemagne's North, which is not happening until the spring. So I'm going to let it run for a little bit longer. Maybe we can fit this into the end of this video. I know we're getting a little bit long now, but I want to see where we can get to by the end of this video. I'll see you in a second. I still like watching the Zarnowski traffic drive around. I don't know. It's something about it's just pretty relaxing, you know? Just seeing all the cars doing their thing. I don't know how many of you guys actually just like watching traffic sometimes, but it's interesting to me. Anyway, it is March 6th. And I think it's time to turn on Charlemagne's North. And at the end of I said I wanted to do it at the end of the video, and so we're going to do it. This one here needs to go away. Track builders getting stuck again. What's new? Okay, so got this little thing here that's almost built too. That's pretty nice. And everything seems pretty good here. We've got, clothing, food, electronics, all that stuff is in this store ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and just activate max workers and let that happen. Car dealer apparently has things buyers in the queue. We're going to wait on that. And just taking a look at real quick everything that needs to be done here. Indoor pool, cinema. We had some people, working in here initially when it was built. They, drove over here, parked, and then walked in. Everything seems to be in order here. This shopping center also needs to be managed as well. And I don't know why I didn't elect it, but there it is. Make sure that happens, please. And make sure you have everything except for meat. All the meat is always going to be done by dedicated trucks. And each shopping center has its own dedicated truck for that. So I need to buy one more truck here. Refrigeration, total capacity, go. Need to buy one more, and we're going to get that going to work. But we should have one already assigned to this middle one, which is why that has meat. Yes, this guy here is assigned and ready to go. So let's turn on. Yep, you can get all the way to the police station. You can't get to the hospital. So no walking to the hospital. It'll have to be just driving only. There are a few staff in there. I've also bought a bunch of vehicles. And there are 4 spots remaining. I could buy a helicopter, but I want to make sure that there are people working there in a good number before I buy a helicopter. Because like I said before, the helicopter will go get people even if nobody's here. So I don't want them to be brought here unless there's that. I think we're ready. I'm going to take a chance and hit this button. And we're going to see. Just making sure we got garbage. Yep, garbage is there. There's water, food. all the things. Turn it on. We officially have people living in Charlevance North. That's a thing now. We still need to get that bus stop over here, but I would like to just start out by getting a few people over here. Start looking at, you know, whether or not they're going to be able to shop, and people are going to be walking across that bridge. There it is. Yep, going in here. Is that the closest walk path? Oh, this isn't done yet. Oh, well, we need to get that done now, I guess. Hey, somebody want to come over here and do that, please? Just, you know, when it's not too inconvenient. But there we go. We now have shoppers in here, or at least we have people working there for to be shoppers. And yeah, 210 almost immediately is in there. So that's our first building for this. Okay, we want kindergarten. Let's go ahead and turn that on. Why not? Might as well just crank it up to max. It's okay. Might as well turn on all of these buildings just to let people work there and enjoy themselves and everything that's necessary. There we go. Turn on those buildings. And is there anything else I need to do? Obviously, we want to get people their cars so that they can drive around. The original plan was to deliver vehicles to this car dealer, and we would be doing that with the same vehicle that used to be delivering it over to Checkpoint Char. I would simply have that vehicle, which goes here, right? I would simply have that vehicle drive it into Charlevance North now to deliver the vehicles. But in order to do that, I have to redirect this train to stop exporting them and to start delivering them back to where they're supposed to be. So we're going to do that now. I'm going to have this go ahead and deliver the vehicles not to the harbor, but instead it will deliver them to this stop. Right. Where to go? Where to go? My God, I'm getting lost, aren't I? Right over here. I want you to deliver it there. And you're going to, yep, unload your vehicles right there now instead of the harbor. So the harbor is going to take a break. All right. It's going to be a little bit of a break. And you know what? I'll have you go ahead. You don't have very many vehicles at the moment, but I want to kind of get this rolling, kind of get this started. So I'm going to have you deliver what you have to that location now. And then we can get the trucks to go back and do the thing that they need to do. So the trucks are currently sitting, kind of just sitting in storage right now, waiting for me to tell them what to do. Right here. I want you to not go to the Checkpoint Char dealer, but instead, you're now going to take these vehicles directly into Charlevance North there instead. So you no longer have that one, and instead you have this one, and then you unload, wait till unloaded, like so. All right. And then you will be loading vehicles the same way. Okay. So I now have domestic vehicle production and delivery set back up now. So that whole system is done, at least in that extent. We're not going to deliver any more vehicles to Zernovsky. We're not delivering any more vehicles to Checkpoint Char. Now the vehicles are being brought here instead until we see, you know, a large percentage of vehicles all zipping around over here with people being able to get where they want to go. Because we have people without jobs here now. Of course, these guys are going to walk over to construction sites and stuff as well. And so they will, yep, plop themselves right in here. And you can see we actually have a lot done on this building now. Whoa, they've been doing this. Hold on, suspend that. They've been doing this. Excuse me, I had no idea. Wow. Okay, well, I mean, that you can kind of see how that building's going, yeah? Look at this. Huh? Look at that. Oh, that's going to look super cool. There's still more to go. Just that top part to go. But that looks awesome. Dude, they did a really good job on this. My gosh. Like, I'm this far away from the building and I still can't get it all in frame. That's wild. There we go. And there's still, again, more to build. More up top to go. It's crazy. All right, cool. So anyway, yeah, that's what I wanted to activate today. So what do we do today? Well, hang on. What are you waiting for? Like, you're just going to unload steel, right? So it's all of this. I need to do something about this, right? I hate this. I now hate this. too many trains using this way, not enough trains using this way. I mean, we do get some trains using this, but not enough. I expected more. So there's clearly something going on here. I need to take some of these passenger trains. What I'd like to see, right, is you take the passenger trains and you make them longer. Add a couple more trailers to them, right, so they can have more people. But then you spread them out and you get them on different routes so that they, you know, don't get stranded in here behind each other all the time. So like now this train needs to take people, you know, over somewhere else, wherever that may be. And I don't know that yet, but eventually it all gets worked out because the train will end up coming in here and we don't want that on. They'll end up coming in here and they'll pick people up from here and then off they go, right? And then they will definitely be using a different rail because they'll be coming into this side. The trains will naturally want to use this side of the track. They won't want to use this track anymore. And so what I suspect will happen is that we will get people from here and we'll take them up this way. They'll work at the airport. They'll work at the place where we make airplanes. They'll work in nuclear, right? Those trains will be zipping around here then, and probably, you know, it'll reduce the number of trains that are on this by about, I would say 40% or so. A lot of the trains that are on there are passenger trains. So, but yeah, that's the thing I need to do. And there's really not a good way to do that until, what's going on here? So you're trying to go in here and you're stuck here waiting for your fuel unload and reload because you're not loading fuel. Oh God, there's always something. Swap to high priority there. That should put fuel into this. And then that fuel will then go, all right, camera, will then go into there. Finally, you can load. Okay. But what I want you to do, you should have some left, right? You certainly do. Okay. I want you to just go to Ballast Ross instead. That should get you to ignore the light and go straight instead of curving. There you go. And because of that, the meat train no longer has to wait either. All right, cool. Anyways, I gotta leave it. I keep saying I will and I don't. That's just my MO. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.